All for coming. My name is Kathleen Flynn. I'm the Vice President of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Association, a very burned out one. I would like to thank Councilmember Chu for co-sponsoring these vital community events with us. I would also like to thank Rosa. Can Rosa stand up? Give her a big hand. Rosa works for Councilmember Chu, and she's done a lot of the work to make this happen. So thank you, Rosa. You're a doll. I want to thank our volunteers. If they could stand up, please. Can we have a big round of applause for them? And our camera guy, Robert Walker. Big hand. Behind me, we have some of the most incredible experts in the mental health and law enforcement area. So please give them a big hand because they're not with their families tonight, they're with you. And a special thank you to Aki for providing a translator once again. Anybody need a Spanish or Vietnamese translator? I know, Chief, that's the second time. I think they understand translator, maybe. I wanted to take a quick minute to introduce you to our new Chief No. If Chief No could stand, please. He's the San Jose Police Department's Bureau of Administration Chief. He's the first Vietnamese chief we've ever had. Double applause. His passion is working with the community on difficult issues, and this is why he's here tonight, because he wants to listen and learn from the community on how the police department and the community can work together on all the vital issues before us, especially with resources dwindling and cuts coming. So please remember both chiefs' faces. Now, we do have upcoming events coming. We have flyers in the back, so please look at them. Our next event is Bob Sipple will be speaking. It'll be community policing, crime prevention, and safe neighborhoods, along with Alofa Talava over there, who's a neighborhood leader. And we have scholarship applications, so please pick some up and help us get the word out. We have $6,100 to help kids go to school. So can I have a big hand for our scholarship chair? Okay, now I'd like to introduce you to my boss, my favorite boss I've ever had in my life, and that's Reverend Dr. Bonita Carter Cox. She's the president of our board.
Thank you, Kathleen, and thanks to everyone for coming. Thanks to our panelists here. I don't want to keep you long. I just want to tell you it's a pleasure to have you here. Thanks to all the volunteers. Thanks to our board members that are here. A lot of them have on purple shirts. Some of them don't. Board members, raise your hands. Love the board members. Thank you so much. This is going to be a non-threatening meeting, which means the presenters will give you all sorts of resource information. You have the opportunity to give your feedback. We would like you to write your questions on a card, and then they will be made out. Christian, our secretary, does have cards back there, and he does have pencils also. So as you feel like you need to write down a question, please raise your hand, and Christian will assist you in getting that written out. So from here, I just want to say thank you again for coming, and please take advantage of all the resources that we have. All the tables are lined up with resources. Thank you so much.
Okay, I just want to give you a real quick brief history on why we're doing this, and then we're going to allow the panel to do what they're here to do. So our board has been real aware of a lot of complaints going on in the community, and we support law enforcement very much. And we built a bridge with them that we want to share with you to cross over with us to make our community stronger. Because we can't really have anything change if we're not working together. Dr. King worked with people he didn't like. We do it every day in our jobs, and we're inviting you to do that with us because we want you to see law enforcement the way that we do. So can we give them a big hand for putting their life in the line every day? So here's how the meeting's going to go. We're going to have presentations. We've had Supervisor Cortese send someone who would like to make a short commentary, and also we have a beautiful woman, Lorraine Flores, who works with Bill Wilson Center, and she's going to grace us with a few words too. So before we get started, I want you to know that the reason we're doing all the questions in writing, how many of you have been to a meeting where one person monopolizes the whole commentary section? Raise your hand. Well, that's why. So you're all going to get heard tonight, and these panelists have been very kind and willing to stay after and answer any questions you want to direct to them privately, okay? All right, so Chief, the ball's in your court. You're on your own. Big hand for the Chief.
Well, thank everybody for being here. Ordinarily I'd stand up, but I've been told this is a panel, so I'm going to say if I stand now, I'll be all right. Thank you very much to the Martin Luther King Jr. Association of Santa Clara Valley. This is the first of a series of events where we're going to cover a number of topics ranging everything from mental health to the independent police auditor to community policing to any number of topics over the next series of months. So first of all, appreciate you being here. The first topic that we're going to cover is mental health in the community and the interactions with law enforcement. It's certainly been front and center in Santa Clara Valley, and particularly in San Jose over the last several years. So we thought it was a good topic. Again, this is not something that's being driven by the police department. It's being, these series of meetings were done at the request of the Martin Luther King Association. And I'm very much grateful to Dr. Benita Carter-Cox as well as to Kathleen Flynn for their efforts to put this together. For anybody that's ever put a series of events together, it's time consuming, a lot of it's volunteer work, and we appreciate everybody who's involved in putting it together. What I'd like to do is do a couple quick introductions for tonight's panel. The gentleman sitting to my left and your right is Pat Dwyer, and I will say some very nice things about him, not only because I like him, but also he served with the San Jose Police Department with distinction for 29 years in serving the citizens of San Jose, and then went on to be the police chief in Palo Alto, and has served as the acting chief in a number of other departments around Northern California. One of the most experienced members in law enforcement that we have serving actively today. And on top of that, he has developed it does mean you're old. But he didn't have to come back to do the work he's doing now, and that's working with the mental health communities and running a program he's going to describe. I appreciate the work that he's done to date and the work he's continuing to do into the future, and appreciate you being here, Pat. And to my right, your left, is Officer Jeff Sumner, who is with our crisis intervention program, and Sergeant Teresa Jaglom. And together, the three of them and Phil, I'll pronounce it, Doppel, from NAMI, will also be addressing the topic, because really it's not just about the police department's response, it's about the community's response. And with that, I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to Pat and introduce him and let him move forward with the presentation. Pat.
Thanks, Chris. Kathy called me on the phone about 2 months ago. I didn't know Kathy before that phone call, and she asked me if I believed in free speech. And I said, yes, I believe in free speech. And she said, good, because I want you to give one. So I got here. And I have 15 minutes to cram about 2 hours of information into, but before I start, I got to say it is outrageous that Jeff is sucking up to the board by wearing a purple tie tonight. Shall I recognize that? I could not let that go unaddressed. My role tonight is to establish a context for an intelligent discussion about the relationship between mental health and law enforcement. This is a discussion that's been going on for some time and kind of gained momentum about 20 years ago when Memphis started their CIT program, and departments from across the nation started to look at that whole dynamic of the relationship between mental health and law enforcement, and kind of came to a joint realization, A, that partnerships work, and that B, a lot of times law enforcement and mental health are working with the same folks, and they need help, not incarceration. That's the philosophy that drives it. Now, I'm probably the only person in the room that actually gets paid to be, to have a foot in each camp, because I am the law enforcement liaison for the mental health department. And have been doing this for about 4 years now. As Chris said, I used to be a police chief. Now I work for the mental health department. That's as much bio as I'm going to give. The objectives tonight, as I said, are to set a context, and I want to share some information with you that will, I think, pretty dynamically and in a very compelling way, show you how important the relationship and the partnership and the collaboration between mental health and law enforcement is. This is a problem or a challenge that has both statewide and nationwide recognition. And I can say this is the task force report for criminal justice collaboration and mental health issues. Exactly what we're talking about tonight. And this was issued about 6 months ago for comments. This is a draft report. It was put out for comments about 6 months ago in the state of California. This is the post-state, everybody know what the Post Commission is? They govern police training in the state. This is their report to the legislature on the status of peace officer training on mental illness. These are documents that talk about police intervention and diversion programs, court diversion programs on a national level from the Gaines program and from SAMHSA. This is a really important issue, and it's not just important here. Recognize that what we're talking about here tonight is being talked about across the state and across the nation. So to set this context, what I'd like to do is share some statistics with you. And I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of boring statistics. These are statistics that will, I think, shake you up a little bit. And they're meant to shake you up a little bit. Some of you are going like that, because you've heard these statistics from me before. Diane has, and maybe some of the people that go to the Mental Health Services Act meetings have. But these are statistics that actually shocked me when I got into this business. And they still shock me today, and they kind of drive what we're talking about. Since the closing of the mental hospitals in the United States in the 1960s, America's streets and jails have become kind of de facto mental institutions. We all know that. We see the people walking around sometimes in a drug-induced stupor, or sitting on a park bench talking to themselves, or maybe causing disturbances and getting arrested for a 415 or 647F, which is disturbing the peace or being drunk, when really what they needed was mental health services. Melissa Rulon, who wrote about half of these pamphlets I just showed you, often states when she's giving speeches, and I'm stealing this from her, the LA County Jail, the Cook County Jail in Chicago, and Rikers Island in New York each hold more people with mental illness on any given day than any hospital in the United States. The California Sheriff's Association recently claimed that 9% of all emergency responses relate to a mental health crisis.
What, 90 or 9?
9. The California Post Commission cites even higher statistics. More than 450,000 people with a recent history of mental illness are incarcerated in the United States jails and prisons, and that includes 24% of state prison inmates and 21% of local jail inmates. That one's pretty close to our local statistics if you talk to Bruce Copley or some of the people I work with in mental health. This one's kind of shocking. 66% of males and 74% of females in the juvenile justice system meet at least one diagnostic criteria for mental illness. Some of you like Community Solutions, Bill Wilson Center, you know that's true. Law enforcement officers are more likely to be killed by a person with mental illness than by assailants with a history of assaulting officers or resisting arrest. Conversely, people with mental illness are killed by the police in justifiable homicides at a rate nearly 4 times that of the general public. And I'm just going to skip down to the last one because I think it's the most compelling statistic that I have. I did some research about a year ago with the help of David Howe from our DA's office, who's a brilliant guy. And David and I looked at 5 years of officer-involved shootings in this county. And we're not talking about across the nation, we're not talking about the state of California, we're not talking abstractions. We looked at 5 years of officer-involved shootings that went from about 2004 to 2009. It's about a year old. There were 22 officer-involved shootings in this county, and 9 of the people shot were mentally ill. And